want to reset back and talk about the fabric of the values and beliefs, which is why we're here today. Reset back to us in the basement. Again, we're sitting there in the beginning, and we took out these sheets of paper, and we put them on our little wall there. And the first thing we did was write down all the things we didn't like about a large company. Dan and I, in the first 8, all came from Siemens. And so we had great training. It was a great company. We wrote down all the things we liked about a big company: leadership, cash, business processes, boom, boom, boom. All things we don't like about large companies, which we'll leave nameless at the moment. Then on the next sheet of paper, we put all the things we loved about small companies. They're family friendly, easy to do business with. They have local leadership that is accountable for the results. And all the things we don't like about small companies. And generally, they don't have capital. They don't take risk. They stay in their own little cities. And they have a quality of life that they're happy with. And we knitted those together and came up with this thing that we call values and beliefs. And back then, there was no book. There was nobody telling us what to do. We had no idea. We were just sitting there saying, what's the right thing to do? We had the benefit of building a company from scratch. So we said, why not build it the right way? We got leadership in place. Why not now create the culture? So that day, the culture, months, it took us months to work through this. And so as we go through them here in a second, I want you to know that these aren't just words on a sheet of paper to us. They're the culture of our company. They're the fabric. They're the backbone. They're everything. This is it. And so it's not just words. It's just all succinct in one page. We never changed it. I hope we never ever change it. We shouldn't have to change it. It should stand the test of time. This is the moral compass. This is the document we expect our colleagues to say, this is how we expect you to run this company, and we'll go through all 10. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago, and this guy wrote up there, this professional consultant, said, culture eats strategy. I don't know if you've heard that one. Culture eats strategy. I sat there, I'm in the back room going, that's absolutely true. Culture eats strategy. Can you imagine if we didn't have an organization we built from scratch that supported a client globally? Pick your favorite one. We reference Boeing or Capital One or those. And we picked our school locally ahead of them because, you know, that's not a client that's from our backyard. Culturally, our organization now would revolt on something like that. So I'm sitting in the back room going, what's the difference with our company? The difference is, to me, our culture empowers colleagues. It's telling people it's okay to act this way. This is our culture, and use this document and make decisions without leadership because it's okay. We've agreed to these words. So to me, this has now created this global consistency that we now have that's across 2,000 colleagues, and we need the leadership in here to continue to nurture this and make sure that everyone understands how important this is, and this is really who we are as we walk through them.
Okay, so let's, we'll go through each one of them. And one of the things that you notice with each of the values and beliefs, there's the value or belief, and so in this particular case it says, I am Convergent, and then there's a tagline to each one of them. And the taglines are very important. As Greg said, we agonized word by word over each one of these. And every one of them has a meaning. And what's very interesting is that as meaningful as they were 15 years ago, 14 years ago, they're as meaningful today. So this one says, I am Convergent, which means professional, hardworking, a team player. And the tagline is, I own my position on the team. So what does that mean by owning my position on the team? So here's what we suggested it means. I do what I say I'm going to do. Okay? Nothing more. If I make a commitment to a customer, or if I make a commitment to a colleague, I just do it. I don't have to exceed it. I don't want to do less than that. It just basically says I do what I say I'm going to do. I own our customer's problem, and I see it to resolution. The example I like to use on that one is that you happen to be walking by and the phone rings, nobody's there, you pick up the phone, it's a customer, and the customer has a problem. But you don't have a clue how to solve that problem. You own that problem until you can get it to the person who can solve the problem for the customer. So just because you don't necessarily have the particular experience to be able to solve that problem, you need to own it until you can get it to the person who can actually solve it for the customer. I'm committed to Convergent's mission at all times, and it's in the handbook, but basically when it boils down to, it's about making a difference. If you think about it, in the early days, our differentiator was Convergent can make a daily difference. The colleagues at Convergent making a daily difference, and it's in our tagline as well. And we all need to be committed to that to be successful. I demonstrated Convergent attitude, and we defined a Convergent attitude as professional, hardworking, and a team player. Okay? So we said this isn't going to be easy. We're going to start this company up from scratch. We're not in the easiest industry either. It's a challenging industry at times, so it does take some hard work to be successful. But we also want to be known as professional, the most responsive professional organization, but also as a team player. And we'll talk more about that because our industry is complex today. The solution to customer problems are complex. There's no one individual who can solve the customer needs. It takes a team to be able to do it. I work with all Convergent team members to achieve results. It goes back to that team player, is that it takes a collection of people to be able to be successful. Sure, there's certain things that we can all do individually for the success of our clients or even for our colleagues. But for the most part, today we see it takes a team to be most successful. So that's the first value, I believe.
I am accountable for my continuous development. So if you go back to the premise, which is large companies, small companies, and the other thing I'd reset back here for a second is we didn't think we were going to come up with 5 eyes in 5 weeks. We didn't have that as an objective at all. We just kept writing things on a piece of paper, and to our surprise, at the end, we ended up with, if you look at our values and beliefs, there are 5 eyes. I is a colleague of Convergent, and then there's this entity when we get to the 6 through 10 is we, as this culture of Convergent, are going to support that. So at the time, we didn't know that was going to come out. So now we have this, I'm accountable for my continuous development, and we use a certificate, a better me is a better Convergent. So if we go to the next page, personal development is a lifelong commitment. In large companies, they spend a lot of time on training and development. They have training centers and things like that. Small companies, lots of times they cut corners there. OJT, on-the-job training, they know enough about it, but they don't want to spend the thousands of dollars it takes to fly and to do the training. And we said, no, this is a long-term commitment. We're going to invest in our colleagues because it's a win-win. It's a win for you, it's a win for us. It's a two-way street. We're going to achieve excellence in our fields. We're going to track certifications. So the way we sell, when we're in front of clients and trying to understand their needs, we put up how many certifications we have. We have 297 people certified today in Linnell. Roughly 153 are masters. We track gold, silver, bronze, platinum. On the EST side, we have well, if you go on the NICET side, we have 97 people that have NICET certifications. About a third are NICET 4, the highest certification you get. On Software House, that we just got in the past year, we have 117 people already certified in Software House. So we're able to sit across from our clients saying, this isn't just they know a little about this product, we're the best. We have 300 people in Linnell that can support you. And that's really a differentiator for us in the market. We also, through our HR department, are trying to spend more time on the customer satisfaction skills, which is really critical. You can be really technical, but you don't handle the customer interface appropriately, we're dead. So we're trying to spend more time. That's always something you should keep in your mind. The customer satisfaction skills and the soft skills are every bit as critical as the technical skills. The other thing we do is we regularly seek formal feedback on our performance, and we want to know how we're doing. And what areas. So in this particular case, we have performance reviews every year. We sit down, large companies are good at that, small companies aren't necessarily good at that. And we'll have a performance review, we sit down, we rate you. It's a two-way street. Remember, our leaders don't get the colleague to give them the review first and then they do it. You each fill them out independently. So then you can see if there's any issue and whether there's some performance issues. So I'll turn it to Danny on the next one.
So while I believe all the values and beliefs are my favorites, my absolute favorite is the third value and belief, and that's this one here, is I have integrity. But the tagline, it's what I do when no one's watching. Think about that, right? We can all have integrity when somebody's watching, but integrity is all about when nobody is watching. I've used that one with my kids since they were growing up, and it's turned out to be absolutely my favorite. And the other thing I think that comes out of the poster is there's no gray. You either have it or you don't. It's black or it's white. You have integrity or you don't. So what does that mean relative to Convergent? I'm committed to always doing the right thing. There's no doubts about my actions or what my intentions are. So if we have any interaction, through colleagues or clients or customers, they know exactly what we're thinking of, exactly what we're trying to accomplish. We embody fairness, honesty, and good business ethics in all transactions. Anything that we do with a customer, we want them to know that it's a forthright transaction, right? And that they can have confidence in it. And if we make a mistake, and we overbill them or whatever it is, they're going to know that we're going to correct that. Right? We respect, we value, and we appreciate the role of each person within Convergent. We all have strengths, We all have development needs, right? And we like to focus on the strengths, and we all like to focus on helping with the development needs. But we still need to respect and work with everybody through the organization. Remember, it takes a team now to do what we need to do as we service these clients that are across the globe today. While I will pursue cost efficiencies, I will not compromise customer value. In other words, while we're cheap, and particularly in the beginning, we're not going to compromise customer value. So what we always said was, you know, if we make a mistake on a job, it may cost us thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have a reputation of not walking away from that customer. And as a result of that, we'll get that money back 10 times over, right? So we don't want to be foolish in how we spend our money, but when it makes sense to invest it wisely, we make decisions to do that. Right.
Communicate. I keep everyone informed. It starts with me and the infamous tagline, communicate, communicate, communicate. Okay, there's nothing creative on this value and belief whatsoever. If you go to the next slide, the way we apply it is really critical. So if you look at, I will share good news and bad news in a timely manner. There is nothing you can tell the leadership team that's going to shake us up if you're a colleague. We've seen it all. The only thing that will shake us up is if you don't tell us about it. That's a problem for our culture. We can handle anything. We're not aggressive, and we just need to know. So in our culture, you can't hold it from us. We'll get a little more assertive if you hold it from us. I'll respond to communications with our customers immediately. Everybody knows technology's changed a lot in the 14 years since we started this, so texting and emailing and Skyping and whatever else we're going to do. There is absolutely no excuse not to respond back to a customer inquiry in hours. A day is no longer even close to acceptable. It hasn't been acceptable for 10 or 12 years. So we have to have an organization that responds promptly. Dan managed all the customer information in our company, and the #1 complaint we ever got was communication. If that, you know, they stack rank us, they tell us all these things, and they'll say, I wish you had been more timely with your response. And our colleagues would say, well, I didn't want to tell them yet because I wasn't 100% sure, so I was going to wait till tomorrow. And the longer we wait, a customer is very forgiving to us. They'll let us make mistakes all the time, quite honestly. We just have to communicate with them and over-communicate with them and tell them I won't know till tomorrow, but we're going to be out there. And so if we could drive something home, it's to understand that customers want to be communicated with, good news or bad. Or say it starts with you. Don't assume they're saying, Nick, I thought Nick was going to do that. No, it starts with you. Assume they do not know. You have every medium available to you. Keep it brief, to the point, and often. We all receive a lot of emails. The easiest emails are to read are the ones that are brief, to the point, versus, I won't name one of our CFOs that started with a company because in case this is videoed, but when I did get emails from Wally Winkle on an hourly basis, the first thing I would do, and I'm sure Dan was the same thing, you'd open it up, and I love the man to death, and it's 400 pages long and 15 attachments, and the first thing I would do is close it as fast as I could, because there was no chance I could read the email at that time. You know, Wally tell you the legal world's different, my head would hurt. So then on a Sunday morning, when you got an hour, you'd read it. Somebody sent me a quick one, you could read on your phone, bam, I'm responding within seconds, literally. So we want to have a quick, now there's times, I love Wally, there's times where we need that detail on the attachments, but there's other times that a quick communication will work. Respond with a sense of urgency. I don't understand, some people don't understand proper etiquette in email. If you send someone an email and there's an action item on their part, we need a response that says, even if you're not going to say, I can't get to that for a month or a week or 2 days, you say, I got that, I'll respond to you the next week, thanks a lot. If you just leave them hanging there and you're on the other side of that, you don't know if they're going to get it, are they going to respond by that deadline? It only takes seconds. Let them know. Communication to us is the backbone. And now that we're a global company, it's very easy to have things get dropped. So please carry that torch to our colleagues.
So the last value and belief on the I side of it is I make responsible decisions, and the tagline is timely, educated, and cost-effective. So what does that all mean? First of all, when we talk about making decisions, there's kind of a test that we'd like you to understand and to really put it through that test. And there's really 4 areas that. The first one is protect my safety, my customers, and my fellow colleagues. That's probably the most important one that we talk about when we make decisions. And some of you may know Michael Gross, who's our global safety director. And one of the things that Michael says every day, his tagline is, what's the most important thing to him, the most important thing to our organization, is that every Convergent colleague gets back home at night and gets home safely. That's the most important thing that we can do. The rest of this isn't important if somebody doesn't get back home at night or they don't get home safely. So that's the number one thing that we look at. Second one, ensure the satisfaction of our client. Again, we go back to, as I said before, we need to make decisions, and it impacts the customer. You have the authority to make that decision. Now, common sense says, if it's a $100,000 decision, you're probably going to consult with somebody. If it's a much smaller decision, make the decision. What's the worst that's going to happen? You may be wrong, right? But at least you made a decision. It's better than being indecisive and not making decisions. Then protect the financial assets of our company. Obviously important, because without that, we can't grow the organization and invest in it the way that we have, since 2001. And support the teamwork and the professionalism of the company across the company-wide. So when you're making a decision, think about those. Those are important to us, and it's important to the organization. We highly value the opinions and the decisions of our colleagues. We do this we call them colleagues, we don't call them employees. We're all colleagues, and we work in a collegial manner. And so we value the opinions of everybody. Hierarchy doesn't mean much to us in the organization. If somebody who's out in the field has got a great suggestion on our strategy of the organization, we want to hear that, we want to listen to that. I like this one too, is there's a difference between honest mistakes. You really gave it your best effort, but you made a mistake, versus a bad mistake. Careless, lack of effort. Now, nobody's going to get terminated here, unless you do that on a repeated basis. No one's going to get terminated here, but tell you what, this can only go on so long. We understand there's mistakes, and we all learn from our mistakes, and what we don't want to do is compound it or continue to make the same mistake over and over. We should learn from it, and we should move on, but we're all going to make mistakes, as long as we're putting our best effort towards it and we're not careless about it. We encourage formal and informal feedback throughout the organization. I think Greg talked on another one with that. We want that feedback. Some people have said it's interesting is that we can call you guys and you answer the phone. Because, we don't have, we never did in the beginning have administrative assistants. You can get to the organization. We want it that way. We want customers to call the leaders within the organization. We want colleagues to call the leaders and provide that feedback. Because otherwise, if we're so far removed from the clients and from the colleagues, we can't effectively lead the organization. And we're back to this one again. We're cost effective. Treat Convergent's resources as if they were yours. Pretty simple, pretty fundamental one, but particularly in the early days in the beginning, we were very frugal with our dollars. We didn't want to run out of money in terms of the investments in this organization. And even today, while we've got more money in the organization, we're still investing, but now we've got to grow this on a global basis. And it takes, not only does it take time, but it takes a lot of financial resources to do with it. So be frugal in your thinking there.
And just go back for 1 second.
Sure.
This is also these 4 things. At one time, we were trying not to have a colleague handbook. We were naive enough to think, what the heck? And if we could just follow these 4 things, we don't need a colleague handbook. If it's not safe, if it's not ruining the assets of the company, if it's collegial, and if you're solving customers, what more do you need to know? And boy, we learned very quickly that we need a full handbook. Danny mentioned, and I would agree with him, on the I side, I have integrity is number 1. We can't work with people we don't trust. It all starts with trust. So if there's any sense, I remember I'd explain to people, I trust, looking at Tim Beasley, the people in Atlanta, if I can't trust the leadership, we got serious problems. That's our whole culture. If the person you're working with you can't trust. And so I have integrity is where it all starts. You don't need Dan, I, Ken, or someone to fly in. In fact, in the 14 years we've been doing this, I can call them once or twice in my life. I got a call from a customer because the problem exists in the local office. They have all the resources to solve it. That's the beauty of our model. But if I was to pick one V&B for the entire company, for me it would be, we expect to be our customer's best service provider on the we side. That sets the entire standard. It doesn't say, hey, do the best you can, I hope we get an 8 out of 10 for 80% of our clients. It says we expect to be our customer's best service provider. And the tagline, no matter what business we're in, no matter, I don't care, the fire business, security business, building automation business, the dispatching business, the sales processing business, any business, we expect to be the best. So go to the next slide, Dan. We're in the service business. It was a tagline Dan and I came up with. We just happen to be in this building solutions industry, but we're really in the service business. So as you're sitting here, what service companies go through your head? UPS, great service company. We're no longer competing with our competitors in service anymore. We're competing against everybody that our customers interface with. And they interface with UPS. And on a personal level, they may interface with Zappos. I'll tell you, I won't ask you because of this environment. The #1 service company to me right now is Amazon. And why is that? We can go to that website in seconds in that beautiful one-click thing, and it's on my doorstep the next day. The next day. And so our clients have this kind of expectation in their service industry. If they can do it, they raise the bar. And so when we ask the question here in a second, are we your best service provider? They're considering UPS, they're considering Amazon, they're considering everybody they interface with, not just the security providers in their building. So we branded this Convergent attitude, if you remember, as professional, hardworking, and team player. So we expect that here. We expect to leverage that on customer service to have that. Our differentiators, people. If I've been asked, and Dan's been asked, I'm sure Ken's been asked 1,000 times, what makes your company unique? I remember Honeywell coming in and saying, why are you successful? It had nothing to do with our products. Everyone has Linnell. I love Linnell. Everybody has EST. I love EST. Everybody has Software House. It's our people. They can gain access to this anytime, any day. It's not complicated for us. It's our value differentiated people. So we have to be responsive. We have to be professional. We have to be a team player. We have to communicate. We also do small things well. It's critical. Answering the phone, getting proposals done on time, delivering our engineering submittals, little things, getting our billings out on time. I can remember one of our clients, which I won't mention, one of the biggest complaints was our billings. They had trouble with our billings, and we're sitting there, you gotta be kidding me. That was their #1 complaint. We don't bill them on time, accurately. They didn't understand it. We actively seek customer feedback. This was mentioned earlier. Dan was leading that, so we ask our customers, and I don't know that it's changed recently, but still responsiveness was, that's it. They're not yelling at us, you're not technical enough, you didn't get it done on time. Just, did you communicate with us? Did you tell us when you were going to show up late? Did you let us know what's going on? That's a bar we can achieve. So at the end of the day, we ask them, are we your best service provider? That's it. It's a yes or no question. We didn't sit there and say, well, what do we do with the no? It's a yes or no question. And I know we reviewed some of the results this week. What's the number? What's the benchmark here? I don't know. Love to be 100%. Is that realistic? No. But it tells our customer that we're striving for perfection. And if you strive for perfection, as Vince Lombardi would say, you're going to achieve excellence. So I love that part. Are we your best service provider? Drive that in the culture of our company.
Next we is a simple one. We deliver results. And we thought long and hard for the tagline, and the end of it was, period. We deliver results, period. That's it. Sorry about that. Sorry.
It moved me.
We also looked at a variety of different pictures, and this one came up, right? They're surgeons. They have to deliver results, period, right? They can't make a mistake. So what does that mean to us? We will responsibly manage our business to be profitable. We put that one in here because some people apologize for being profitable. Well, you don't have to apologize for being profitable as long as it's a fair profit, because without it, we couldn't be where we're at today, right? We've taken those profits and that cash flow, and we've reinvested it back in the organization to be able to grow and to service more clients across a broader geography across the world. Our culture is one of accountability. We do what we say we're going to do, right? And the next one, a commitment as good as a contract, right? We deliver what we committed to our customers and colleagues, no less. So again, I go back to what we said early on. If I make a commitment to Greg, he expects me to live up to that commitment. I don't have to go beyond it. I don't have to be less of it. Just live up to the commitment. It's nice when we can overperform, right? Or we can overperform for our customers. But if we make a commitment to a client or to a colleague, all we ask to do is just meet those commitments that we make. We are committing to measuring ourselves against objective goals. How you doing today? Oh, I'm doing fine. Oh, okay. What does that mean? You know, and that's a degree, right? Fine may mean something to you, and may not mean something to somebody else. More objective criteria. And that leads to this one here, is we evaluate our performance on the customer scale, not our scale. So one of the things that we do are the quarterly business reviews with the customers. But in order to do that quarterly business review, we can't rate ourselves on how we think we're doing. We need to rate ourselves on how the customer thinks we're doing. In order to do that, we need to identify that up front. What are the goals? What are we trying to achieve with that particular customer? And then quantify that achievement. And then we can regularly sit down with that customer, look at the benchmarks, look at the statistics, and are we meeting our commitments based on the customer's goals, not our goals? So we can always ask one of our people, one of our sales people, or one of our technicians or our specialists in the field, how are we doing with this customer? They'll give us one view. When we go out and we talk to the customer, we can get another view, right? So we want to make sure we do it based on the client's view, not our view.
Dan, go back one here.
Yep.
I'm just sitting here saying, I think you used me as an example here on a commitments as good as a contract, did you not?
Yeah. Don't start.
This is the environment,
Don't
right?
start.
You have to have $100
Jeez,
on
my
you.
wallet's over
You
there.
have to have it. This is Dan made a bet with me in a board meeting that the Chicago Cubs would not make it to the playoffs for $100. Did he not, Ken?
He did.
Did he not?
He actually gave it to me to hold for you.
We sit here today. Now, granted, our Cubbies are going to win next year, and they didn't quite win this year, but I'm still owed. It's appropriate.
How many games they win against the Mets, the New York Mets?
101. Who's this from? Is this from Dan?
It had to be hold it just in case
They,
they lose it.
Really? Come on, you made Luciano out of your bet.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll take it. It's $100. So he is honored his commitment. So what a wonderful 100. All right, move on.
Greg, who came in second place in the Kentucky Derby?
I don't care.
You don't remember?
Is that who it is?
Huh? No, it's not. I don't.
Oh,
What does it mean? The Cubs didn't win the World Series.
Well, I feel great. I've had a good year.
They are just as good as the White Sox at this point. They're both sitting there watching the World Series. So.
Dan and I have had White Sox Cup things. Fortunately, the bulk of the world are Cubs fans, and we all are on pain right now, but move on. So I got my 100. That was worth coming today. We believe in balanced lives. Stay on the slide for a second. Family, business, community. This is near and dear to our hearts. We left a big company and very successful and fortunate, but we started right from the beginning. We are family men. In this case, we both have 3 children. We were raising them at that time, and it was very important to us that we had a culture that understood that. We all work really, really hard, but what's really important is your family and your life, and that you have balance in your family life. And I love the pictures we've selected, and Kids Day, and this is back in the early days we were doing that, and we'll talk about going to Haiti at another time, and our anniversary, and painting in Portland. And it's all about families. That's all the memories I have, are the great moments that we had in family. So if you go to the next slide, Dan. We're a family-friendly company. We believe that's a very healthy environment. A healthy home life is a healthy Convergent life. Now, we can't guarantee that you have a healthy home life. We're going to work really hard to make sure that things go as well as they can, because we're going to talk about that. Caring's reciprocating. We want colleagues to care about, we as colleagues and supervisors want to care about the families, and we want actually families to care about our company. And that call is going to come, and it's Thanksgiving morning or it's Christmas Day, and we got a problem. The building system's down, security system's down. And that specialist or that engineer has to go and make that call. And I'm sure they're not happy on that given day. And I understand that, but as part of our culture, we got to go that day. And then there's going to be other days, and it's a Tuesday, and it's noon, and they want to be at something for their child. And we as supervisors need to work with them. We don't want them just cutting out. We want to sit down and say, we understand that you have a family. That's important that you're there. What can we do to make that happen and balance our business life? But you're working with us. We encourage and support community involvement. From the beginning, we mentioned we shut down our company. We always have in our performance review, what are you doing to give back to the community? We've gone on trips to Haiti as a team. We've gone on trips to disaster relief as a team. We've closed down Convergent Day. We've done people on boards, coaching. We want you to join these organizations. We want you to give back. Dan mentioned companies that care. We love that tagline. We are a company that cares. We care about our local community, and what we've really done since the beginning. If Denver wants to support on Convergent Day things in Denver, they make that decision. We don't ever make that decision here at CDC. And if Calgary wants to do something else in Edmonton, or that's your job to give back to the communities. And we don't want to lose that. We want to support colleagues that care. We didn't want to be just takers. We've built this company now, this engine. We want to give back in our local communities. We want people that want to give back. We want people that care about that. So we respect our colleagues in Convergent. This is the place we put this in. And blue humor, inappropriate language, unacceptable in our culture. Don't bring it into our office. We don't want that cancer in our office. We want people to speak appropriately, treat people respectfully. We don't want any of those types of issues, and so that all fell under here, the balanced lives. To the end.
Our ninth one is we create a positive work environment. In the tagline, we worked hard on this tagline. We recognize and celebrate good stuff. We come up with a better word than stuff, so we kept it at good stuff. But what does that mean? It's all about the environment that we work in, right? Is that you come to, if you come to the office or you're working with colleagues out, you want a positive, constructive, happy environment. You don't want to go to an environment that you don't like getting up and going to work. We hear that too much today from too many people that are out there. So what does it mean to us? Is that we seek to frequently recognize each person's contribution, right? Everybody has contributed to our success. We can't do this alone. Today there's 2,000 people that are contributing to the success of Convergent, and we want to take the time to recognize each and every one of them for what they've contributed. We regularly celebrate successes. We recognize dates and special occasions. Up here, we have birthday cakes too many times during the week. It's very hard to stay in shape around this place, but just recognizing somebody's key birthday, the anniversary, their anniversary with the company, those are all key dates, and we try and push those dates out to the leadership so that they understand when those are occurring, and it's important to recognize when a person has a special occasion. We desire an environment that supports peers recognizing peers. Thank you and a job well done are words we love to hear. And it doesn't have to come from the supervisor, right? It doesn't have to come from the business leader. It's great if it even comes from a peer. If a peer recognizes somebody doing something great, let them know about it. And then tell the supervisor as well so they can get the recognition that they deserve. We're competitive and we believe friendly internal competition is healthy and it's rewarding. So one of the things we're doing, since we have these benchmarks, right? We have 60 offices across the globe today. And we have some benchmarks that we set, and we kind of rank, where everybody's at. And we don't do it to embarrass people, for the ones that are on the bottom. We rank it, and then we can learn from the people who are doing things extremely well. How can the ones that need to improve take that, what they're learning from their colleagues, and improve the overall rankings of their particular situation? So that's about the work environment. It's very important that we create an environment where people want to come to work every single day. Going back, Greg talked a little bit about our past lives. I spent 24 years at Siemens. The first 21 years, I couldn't wait on a Friday, and we didn't have what we have, the technology today. I couldn't wait for Monday to come because I was so excited about what I was doing. Last few years are a little bit different when Switzerland decided to run it a little bit differently, but you want an environment where people are excited about coming to work.
So this one here is fun and laughter on a day. We promote fun and laughter on a daily basis, so I've got that going for me, which is nice. This has been an interesting V&B since we started it. First of all, I'd say about 60% of the people get it, and probably 40% still don't get it. It's just this binary thing, and we were unfortunately at an age where this sophomoric movie called Caddyshack from the 70s struck us as a funny bone. And so I'll tell a story. So when we're doing all these values and beliefs, we're wordsmithing, we're arguing about every word, and if you go through these, a consultant would rip us apart because there's no consultant language in here at all. There's no, I'm going to please the customer type stuff. This is all third grade. I am Convergent. I own my position on the team. You can explain that to a third grader. I have integrity. It's what I do when no one's watching. There's no one, no age above a toddler that wouldn't understand that. And we intentionally did that. So now we come to this one. And our good friends in Canada are helping us with it. And they're helping us with the graphics, and I don't even remember who in their organization.
Here, Dixon, you're wrong.
No, okay.
In terms of the timeline.
So they come back, and so I got that going for me, which is nice, which I'll explain in a second. And our Canadian friends are helping us. They write back, I think we need to change this. So it was something like, so I think this will help us. That is good, or something. And we're going, no, you're missing the whole thing here. This is a joke, okay? This is making fun of ourselves. Go to the next slide. This is, we're on a journey here. We came from big corporate lives. Everything was really serious and hierarchy, and we couldn't be anything opposite that. I've never used my title, could care less what my title is. In fact, I fought for no titles in the early days and lost because there are some reasons you want titles, because it doesn't matter. You sit across the table, whoever you are, and say, how can I serve you? What can I do for you? And you just get it done. It doesn't matter if you're a VP or a salesperson or a specialist. It's just tell me what you need done and I'll get it done. But this one here now is making fun of it a little bit. This was a journey, still is a journey for Convergent. We need to realize that we work really hard, but don't take it too seriously. When life gets really tough, you say, think about Carl. So if you haven't seen the Caddyshack theme, you need to watch it because, so I got that going for me, which is nice, is a slogan when he has absolutely nothing going for him. So we will be in a conference room, bookings are down, DSO is up, tension's filled, and we will say, so I got that going for me, which is nice. Which is just saying, all right, let's reset, take a deep breath, life isn't that important here, we're just a company trying to do the best we can. So this really became a mantra. My kids, at the time, I don't know what Danny's would say, my dad co-founded a company built on Caddyshack, is what they would say, because all of our awards are based on golf and Caddyshack, and it's created its own life, which we like now. It's been fun, and those that get it, and if you don't get it, you gotta watch the movie, I'm sorry.
Okay, so just to kind of wrap it up, and Greg already said this, it's a journey of a lifetime. When we set out to put this thing together, one of the things we said was, this is pretty unique. We have a unique opportunity. We saw an opportunity in the industry, in the security and the fire industry in particular. We came out of the HVAC industry where service is everything. And we thought if we can bring that service model to the HVAC, to the security industry and the fire industry, what a difference it would make. And it would be a fun journey. So Convergent is an opportunity of a lifetime. The main differentiator is you, right? What are our assets in this organization? We have a few trucks, probably too many. Remember, we wanted 0 trucks as well. We thought we'd get away with 0 trucks. I think we have over 1,000 today. And we have a bunch of computers, right? But our asset is you. It's our colleague is what makes all the difference in this organization. It's everybody's responsibility to really live the cultures on a daily basis, live the Convergent values and belief on a daily basis, because it's the leadership as we continue to grow that's going to propagate the culture of this organization. I had somebody say to me a couple months ago is that, wow, this company has really changed in the last 2 years. I thought about that for a second. I said, well, yeah, that's probably pretty true. We've gone from this smaller North American company to this fairly large global organization. So yes, we have changed, and we've changed leadership. We've changed a number of different things. Yeah, we've got to get more policies in place. We've got to get more procedures in place because we are this large organization and we're serving these customers across the globe. The one thing that doesn't have to change is our heart and soul. And that's what the culture is about. It's about our heart and soul in this organization. And whether there was 2 or 20 or 200 or now 2,000, and soon it'll be 3,000, that part doesn't have to change. And that's why we need every one of the business leaders to continue to support, reinforce, and propagate that as well. And while you do that, you might as well enjoy the journey, because it is a journey. And we've also said that we've said this for a number of years now, is that the best days of Convergent are still ahead of us. And we believe that more today than we believe that for the last 14 years. Right? I think we have one last one, right?
One last slide. I'll start with something else I was thinking about, which is I was preparing for a sales conference years ago, and I was watching 60 Minutes, and on comes this person that was climbing a mountain, Alex Hummel, and he was climbing Half Dome, those who had sales conference will remember, with no ropes. He was just with his hands, fingernails, they said rubber shoes and chalk. And I remember writing down, at that time, preparing in my opening, that's impossible. You can't, and it literally was straight up, and my hands get clammy thinking about it. And so I wrote down to myself, that's impossible, and I put, I am, difference between impossible and possible. I drew a little line between that, and how does that happen? And I came up with, it's in your mind. The ability of impossible versus possible is all in your mind. People told Dan and I it was impossible that we were going to start a company from scratch. Just not going to happen. You're not going to get the cash. No one's going to give you the money to start this company. And they were pretty close to right on that. We found one company. Unfortunately, there was no long line willing to give us a lot of money to start this company and control. That was the key thing. 2, they said, they're not going to quit. You are not going to get people to quit their comfortable lives to join you in the basement to take on this. That's just not going to happen. 3, these billion-dollar companies are going to eat you for lunch. Just not going to happen. And we sat there and listened to all of that. And what I would say to our company is we sit on a critical juncture now. $1 billion, $2 billion, there's no number that we can't hit. In fact, we were too narrow. All we had at the time was the United States map, and well, actually it was North America because we put Canada, our offices, and the first thing we bought was a map. And then we bought 2 tables. We didn't even buy paper clips because we didn't want to spend the money. And we bought some paper to write on. And we put circle locations where we wanted to be right out of the gate. We wanted to feel bigger sitting in the basement, just the 2 of us. And so we started to draw circles where we had leadership going to be. And we never thought back then globally. I didn't. Dan may have.
I did.
Okay, Dan did. I'm a very narrow thinker, and I thought North America was a big enough pie for us at the time. We put up $300 million. $300 million. Just seemed like a number. $100 million each business segment. And now we're staring down $1 billion. But what Dan closed with is, it really is just our individual people wanting and desiring and the leadership that we need. So when I come back here, we have strong leadership globally. But I would say, on behalf of a board member, one of our biggest challenges is finding new leadership. As we go from 2,000 colleagues to 4,000 colleagues, as we expand, we have now different issues on a global basis where we need leadership. We need leadership by title, but we need leadership by just plain out taking control and making it happen. That's a big vacuum yet for us as we look over the next 2,000 to 4,000. We clearly have the best colleagues in the industry. We still track valued colleagues that leave our company. It doesn't happen. We don't lose top performers. It doesn't happen. We've created a culture, and we want to perpetuate that culture that we value you. We start losing key colleagues, that's a bad sign for our company. We can't let that happen as leaders. We have a really strong service reputation since we started going to ASIS and those other associations early on. It's incredible what our brand is. The brand of Convergent is really, really strong. And it's because of our service reputation. It's because our customers are saying great things about us. We now have a worldwide knowledge base, so we're drawing upon 2,000 colleagues. That's different for us. That's something we got to take advantage of. I don't know, as we said, we have such a large and growing customer base. Every day I'm hearing about new clients. It's just incredible. And then now we have a global platform to serve. There's no one that we can't serve. Any client that comes to us, and I see Amazon now on our list that comes to us, we can service you on a global basis. That's a beautiful thing. So with that,
that completes the values and beliefs. And, we're open to entertaining some questions if there's any questions, but I think everybody has seen the values and beliefs. It's part of the onboarding and the introductory. It's important that we share it with all of our colleagues and we reinforce it on a routine basis as well.
Yeah, back in the day, and I don't know what people do anymore, but we used to ask everyone to carry their values and beliefs with them. At the close of the card, and I'm willing to bet that has fallen by the wayside, but it stayed for 8 to 10 years, I would say. And so at the end of this presentation, what I would implore you to do as leaders, because they're going to follow your leadership. They're going to follow your leadership. You give them a card and ask them to carry it with them. And when we're in front of clients, we used to show this is the company, this is the culture, this is what you're buying. When we were in front of Cap One, our close was, with Tony, what's in your wallet today? This is what was in our wallet. We threw it on the card on the table. We have 100 colleagues, no office, as Dan said, within 700 miles, and they gave us their business. It's crazy. And it's because we said this is the company we were building. So I would continue to encourage you, because if you're not doing these presentations, you can't just say it's going to happen. They're going to get our culture. We've got this cool culture. Take an hour. It takes an hour and a half. You sit across the table and say, tell me about yourself. Where'd you come from? Really, why'd you leave the company? Why did you leave that company? And then listen and listen to what they said why they left that company. Because that's important. That's important. Any questions? Phil Kurtz.
Mr. Lernahan,
Yeah.
I've always been curious about the name of the company. Was there a close second? How did you, I know what it means, but if you could kind of give me a little insight on how you came up with the name and what it means to you guys.
Yeah, one of the things, if you go back in time, and again, go back to our history, back to the HVAC industry, and at that point in time, we always tried to put together, as we were evolving, the HVAC systems, the fire systems, and the security systems. But the technology wasn't robust enough to make that happen back then. But when we started Convergent, one of the things we said was, these technologies are converging. That was the one thing. So we thought the technologies are converging. And so we just evolved it into Convergent Technologies based on that, because we knew there was a lot of technology involved, but the whole concept of converging. And what was really interesting, so we do that in 2001, right? And about 2004, 2005, the industry starts to talk about convergence, right? And so it almost became synonymous with convergent, technologies. And the reason we went to an INT, actually it was we had to, because from a copyright point of view, Convergent Technologies with ENT was taken. So we figured let's use INT, but then we evolved it, as you know, with the logo itself, and we tied the IN Technologies to the IN Convergent together, and then the rays, and the whole converging of the rays, and we also thought it meant the people, right? All the people making that happen as well. So that was a little bit of how we came up with the name.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'd add to the logo as well. I just stumbled across this when I was looking for those sheets, and I'll give it to Ken, actually. Ladies, how are you? Good to see you all. So I just looked, I've got 5 or 6 slides in my car on this, which is, so we went to the INT for Convergent and Integrated Technologies, but this is a person. That's really important that people understand that. That's what that I is, the head and the people, and nothing happens in our company without people. Everything is the epicenter. So we have things in there in the opening. Red was bold, aggressive. We did that on purpose. The rays, as Dan said, were not only all the things that are going on in all of our different industries, but all the things that a colleague has to manage. So every time, and I don't know if you all see this, every time I look at that, I only see people. I don't see an I. And it was all about relying on our people to build this company, because nothing else matters. And there's complexity and there's system solutions, but at the end of the day, that's why all those rays, and we fought not to change our logo, all these rays come back to people. So,
and as a side note, Phil, is that we developed that in a few weeks, the logo as you see it today. It cost us $600, and it was a guy in Croatia over the internet.
and the truth be told, so we get to $600, and the other names, I just stumbled on this as one, I could pull that sheet out. Diamond Tech, Infotech. We had a whole tech thing going on. We thought diamond was something really hard and durable. And so thank goodness we ended up Convergent. Because the name's, so we go online and we have them bid for this. And so we picked a team in Croatia, and it's $600. And so we get a couple things back, because you get to change it 3 times, and they were awful. They were nothing like we wanted. And I remember I wanted to talk to the person live. And I had to then, when I called him, I had to talk through, he had a voice interpreter, so literally he would talk to the machine, so he had a different language, and then would tell me, I'd come out and say, what do you need? And I'm going, this isn't good. This isn't good. So we were dying because we thought we blew $600. But it turned out we told exactly what we wanted on the logo, and never changed it since. Never changed it since. Yeah.
When did you guys decide to leave successful careers at Siemens and take a chance and put this all together?
I'll take the first shot at that one, and Danny can go next. Siemens was a great company. I had the opportunity to meet with Tony and some of the other guys on the SODP program, or Overhire Development Program, and I was a participant in that at Siemens, and lots of people that were running the company at the end were actually through the college program, that you get to build them from the grassroots up. It was a great company. I spent a few months shy of 20 years, had a great career, treated like gold, taught how to run a company. I can't say a bad word about it. And then Siemens started to take control in Europe. And so they decided, we had built a company at that time that was very decentralized, which is what Convergent is. And we put general managers or VPs in charge of businesses. And they would, let's say, have a revenue goal of $30 million. Building automation, small fire, small security. And they wanted to go to vertical. We wanted a general manager for building automation. We wanted a general manager for fire. We wanted a general manager for security. We want an ops manager for fire, an ops manager for, you get the drill. We want a sales manager. And we sat there and said, it's crazy. We're all about solving customer issues. You got to have the right GM in charge. I remember asking the CEO in Dallas, Texas, which we didn't like, said, listen, if you have a $30 million P&L and we do 10 million in fire, 10 million in security, and 5 million in one of the segments, and 20 in another one, did they do their job? He said, absolutely not. Now, we achieved greater than 30 million in revenue, but because we didn't do it in each business segment, that's an absolute not. And I would say, Dan will say in a second, that just didn't fit our culture. So it ended up 7 of the 10 senior managers left. I think Dan and I were their first ones out. And so it was over strategy. They offered us really nice jobs, Doug, Dan and I, and we turned those down because I remember sitting across the table from him, I'm the wrong guy. You don't want me. I don't believe in what you're doing. And I remember when I quit and driving home going, what am I doing? I quit very quickly because they offered the CEO president job to another guy that worked for me at the time, who was in the job a couple months. I'm the wrong guy. We got to go now. It's time for us to go. And Dan was going a different direction, corporate for a little bit with another client, and we got off the line and said, why not try to start to build this? Had no idea what we were doing whatsoever, but we tried.
Same thing, Doug, but I think it boils down to the culture. I spent 24 years there. We had a great career, making very good money back at the time, and they wanted to come in from Germany and Switzerland and really change the fabric of the organization that we had built so successful in North America. And so the reason the V's and B's exist today was, as Greg said earlier, it's everything that we didn't want. Well, let's take all the good things. And as he said, is that we learned a tremendous amount. We've been running P&Ls for a long time in our life. But it just got to the point, and goes back to what we talked about earlier, is that the environment. Remember I said for the first 21 years, I couldn't wait on Friday until Monday come because I really enjoyed what I was doing. Those last 3 years, all we did was argue with the CEO from Europe. And and over the years, since the 14 years that we have been gone, I left as the president of the security division. They've had 7 or 8 leaders of the security division since we left. And again, it goes back to they're trying to run this, from a different country. And I think the one message and the learning that we take from that as well is, while we're a global organization, or we're building towards this global organization, customer service is still done at that local level, right? And the cultures, and while we're trying to spread the Convergent, culture throughout the entire organization, when we look at Beacon and when we look at ICD, they've done some very good things in growing an organization. And the worst thing you want to do is go in there on day one and turn all that upside down. And that's what our previous company was getting at and starting to do. And we just didn't like it. And as Greg said, they offered us phenomenal jobs. And actually, it was 3 of us in this organization today. It was I left, and then Greg left, and then Glenn Wegworth. They offered Glenn Wegworth the job as well. And Glenn decided not to take it as well. But it goes back to, and that's why we're so passionate about the culture of the organization and continuing to promote that, throughout the entire organization. And we're really concerned when we do acquisitions that we don't do it as a cookie cutter, right? And I think some of the guys I had the pleasure last night of sitting with a few of them would attest to. We look at each acquisition uniquely, because again, they've got a particular culture, and sure, we want to bring them. And part of the reason they're here is because of the culture. They saw the Convergent culture. But back in our old days, it was like a switch where they wanted to change that culture, and we didn't want to hold part of it.
Yeah, if I was to, when people ask me to describe Convergent today, I say we have the body and the infrastructure of a Fortune 500 company. The business processes, the professionalism, the leadership, the capital, but we have the intimacy and the family friendliness and the decentralized part that a small company brings to the table. And we're never going to change that. You need that you care about Seattle. And then you care about Convergent, but your delivery mechanism, as Dan said, when we put the two together, it's a really hard combination to beat, because we can look global and act global, but at the same time deliver, at a field level better than anybody else can. It's pretty compelling.
I've got a question and then a comment.
Yeah.
The question is on B&B number 10,
Yes.
the tagline. I think you're about to tell the story about who came up with that and how that came to light. Can you share that?
No, I don't. I don't remember anything specific. I'll let Tony talk about that. It's just.
Well, here, I'll add to that.
Right.
So we get to that 10th one, and we start talking about, we got to make this thing fun. And that was one of our initial precepts, is let's have fun if we're going to do that. And so for those of you who were around, our second building, so the basement in our second building, in Buffalo Grove was across the golf course from our previous employer. But the golf course was named Chevy Chase, okay? And so we were sitting in the conference room, and I forget, but I'm not the funny guy, as you guys well know, and that's more Greg and Tony, and I'm not sure who, it may have been Tony, where we associated Chevy Chase, you know, with the Gopher and Caddyshack and all the rest of it. And so then we just started to grow on that whole theme. And then about 10 years ago, when we started our first sales conference, we were debating, you know, what's going to be this award? What could be the best award we can get? We were talking about all types of goofy, expensive things, and we just kept with the theme of the company, right? The whole Caddyshack theme. And, you know, as you know, today the highest award in our organization is a $25 furry gopher, right? So it all related back to, you know, the Chevy Chase golf course that was next to the parking lot.
I think my closing comment to you guys is, I just want to say thank you. You know, there's a tremendous amount of colleagues back in Southern California and Arizona, Nevada that say things to me, and that's exactly how I feel, that you guys built a company that provided a fabric for development of a career, connection into giving back to the community, things that you can take and connect with your family and your kids on. It's just fantastic, and I'm blessed to be here. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Long-term colleague
It's a
there.
team.
Yeah,
It's a team.
It's a village.
Any other questions?
Have a great day.
Clap, clap, clap.